Hi, I'm Valerie Bealle and I'm at the Cool Tools studio, and this video is all about how to make earrings so that the various pieces move freely one against the other. I'm going to show you how to make a pair of earrings that are pieces linked from behind, so they move beautifully and they're actually quite comfortable. They have little wire links that hold them together, and I'll show you how to do this. Not exactly these earrings, but a similar earring. I'm going to use a texture plate for the ones that I'm going to do. And the first thing I want to do, and I'm going to use a template. I'm going to take this shape because I know that once it shrinks, 3 of these will make a very nice length earring. And what I start by doing is looking through the hole that I'm going to use at various parts of the texture plate. Now, this one would give me one look. I could do this for a completely different look. And what I've chosen is this little lotus flower. So what I'm going to do first is to take some clay. This is flex clay, but it doesn't need to be flex clay. Take a little piece off. And I'm going to use a number 4 rolling frame. I always roll my clay down hard between my hands first to get rid of bubbles. And we'll roll this. Now I want to spray my texture plate with some Cool Slip. And I know that I want this area, or this, we'll do it toward the middle because that will allow me to easily place the clay on it. Always rub it off before you roll your clay into it. Clays don't do well with oil, and the flex clay in particular doesn't do well with oil. I'm going to put this on top, and I'm going to, in one motion, press hard when you roll it in, and peel it off. And there we have the texture. Now I'm going to put this on a tough card and cut it out. Okay, and my template. There we have it. And I will use my clay pick to cut this out. And if you're going to make a pair of earrings, you're going to make 6 more of these. I might, since I know I'm going to need a tiny hole in the top, do a starter hole so that I'll use a hand drill for that, and it gives me a hole to begin working into. And of course I have to dry it, so I'm going to take it and move it over to the cup dry heater and let that dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to drill a hole in it, and I'm going to finish the edges of it by sanding it. I have 3 that I've already made, and I've drilled 2 of them I will drill the third for you. And you can see I have the starter hole, and I like to always keep my finger behind the piece when I'm drilling because it stops you from cracking your work. You can work it slowly and then you feel just when it's through. Okay, let the drill always do the work for you. And I see that this point is awfully pointy, and I don't want that. So I'm going to just sand off the It's easy to forget that this is metal, and when you have a point on metal, it can scratch you. Okay, that's ready to go. Now I'm going to make the little U-shaped wire connectors that hold the links together. I have one made. They look like this. I use 18 gauge fine silver wire, and I will take my pliers and I'll take the very end of this to make a little foot and do a right angle bend. Then I'll go further up, bend around. I want that to be a little bit deeper, good. And then come to the other side and to make another bend. I will use my wire cutters to trim the other end. And you'll notice that I haven't cut a piece off. I'm using my whole section of wire. I have absolutely no waste. Now I'm going to take a bench block, and I'm going to, I think, first squeeze this together a little bit more. And I want to, because sometimes this is a little bit off center, I want to flatten it. I'm not looking at flattening it so that it's flat. I'm looking at flattening it so that it's all in the same plane. Now I can see that this needs more of a bend so that these are both perpendicular to the line of the loop. Okay, so now I have my loops. The next thing I'm going to do is to turn over two of these pieces. And I'm going to lay my little loop here where it's going to have to go. I want to be sure that I'm going to place it far enough because the metal clay will shrink. And if the metal clay shrinks and the wire is right down at the bottom, the wire won't shrink and it'll stick out of the bottom. So you have to have it up a little ways. And I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to hold it with my finger. And I'm going to make a line. And I know that I'm going to use this one for this. Make the line a tiny bit longer than the U. This one, again, I'm going to put this down and sort of move it into place. Hold it down. Any extra pencil will burn off in the kiln. Okay, now I'm going to take my dockyard carver. Let me move some of these things out of the way. And I'm using a U-gouge, and I'm going to cut a groove. I'm using flex clay for this because this has been sitting for quite a while, quite a few days, and it still stays soft enough on the inside to cut it. easily. Not just cut it, but cut it easily. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Keep your fingers out of the way of the gouge because it will cut you terribly if it hits you. Okay. Okay, now I have to hook the links together. So I'm going to take, the first two, which is the bottom one, that's the one we haven't cut a groove in, to the next one. So the first thing I'm going to do is squirt some syringe into the groove that I cut. There it goes. I'm going to put the loop through. Now you have to be careful that the two front parts are facing the same way when you do this. And sometimes it helps to use tweezers and your other hand like this. And we're going to just press this in firmly. There we go. So that's attached, but it's not fully attached. So I want to put some water around this so that it's well hydrated. And I'm now going to take, you can see the silver shining through. I'm going to take the syringe and just gently move it over the wire so that it's completely encapsulated, and then kind of bring that syringe clay down a little bit. I'm going to go to the other end, and I can actually, if I'm very careful, move that out of the way. And we will take this and slowly bring this over, well over the tip. So when this dries, and is fired, that sharp piece of wire will be covered up. And I'll take my brush also and just press down here. Now it's time to put this on a hot plate. So I'm going to kind of scoop this up, and I want to move this as far out of the way as possible. In other words, I do not want this to stick to the syringe clay. I'm going to move this over to the hot plate and let that dry some. When that's dry, I will hook the next one on, and that'll take just a minute. And I'm going to move it to the hot plate and dry it. And it's ready to go. If the links and the earrings stick together, when we take them out of the kiln, first we're going to quench the piece, and I'm going to drop it hard on a hard surface, and they should just pull apart.
Visit our Learning Center at cooltools.us for more cool jewelry making videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to sign up for our email list to be the first to hear about new videos, new products, and other cool stuff from Cool Tools.